Welcome to Under the Fig Tree podcast. In today's episode, hosts Reverend Micah Glenn and Reverend Dr. Ben Haupt sit down with a special guest as they meditate under the fig tree.
What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Under the Fig Tree. Ben, how are you this morning?
I'm good. I actually got a decent night's sleep last night.
There we go.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, listeners from last episode, no, you didn't.
Right.
We won't say exactly when we're recording this episode in comparison to the last one. It's very close. But
it's not on the same day.
it isn't the same day.
I'm not making this up. I really did get a good night's sleep last night, and so I feel a lot better.
Well, they should be happy that we're recording episodes close together because it means that there shouldn't be a week where they have to have that sad little short clip of me saying, "Hey, sorry, we got too busy to record an episode." Yeah, but
yeah, we're weeks ahead. We're weeks out.
It's something like
that.
We're
so administratively this podcast behind the scenes. I mean, it's so organized. You wouldn't believe how much work goes into. I'll stop.
Maybe one day, if somebody is able to kind of produce it, we'll just say it that way. That isn't the two of us,
right?
I mean, it's tough because it's not a terrible day. But starting off with rain, I'm just a raggedy old man. I did still get up and go to the gym, but
Yeah, I asked you how you were doing when you passed me coming down the stairs, and I knew that it wasn't great when you said fine.
Yeah, anyway when the arthritis is being arthritis.
Yeah,
it's just life. But here, the sun is shining. Another day in God's creation. And we're joined by an incredible guest, Dr. Abjar Bahkou. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you.
Welcome to Under the Fig Tree. It's your first time on?
It is, yeah. I did recording with Dr. Meyer, and last week we did another filming with Dr. Eric Herman.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'm excited to have you on the podcast because you're kind of a media celebrity in a lot of respects. You do a lot of media stuff, and you're kind of in demand right now, the hot thing. So we want to talk a little bit about who you are and what you do here at the seminary. We'll hear about your story, which is not your typical grew up in the Midwest and baptized as an infant in the Missouri Synod and just a lifelong Lutheran. So we'll hear about that coming up here in a little bit. But tell us a little bit about your teaching and what your responsibilities here at Concordia Seminary are.
Here at Concordia Seminary, just last week we celebrated my 5th year. And I am here in the practical department. I'm
the best department at Concordia Seminary.
Yeah,
woohoo!
I can
since we don't have
agree with or disagree with that, but I disagree anyway. I actually talk about hot takes. All of our departments are excellent, and none are better than others. That's what I actually meant to say.
Yeah, you're in the grad program, and you probably still have to take a practical class before you graduate.
I almost said I don't have to, but I do have one practical core course left. Anyway.
The ice is thin.
that comment certainly shouldn't affect my grade. Anyway.
I'm sure Dale will just edit that right out.
Yeah. Dale helps me out in all these things.
Don't edit that out, Dale. Good. So, all right. So you teach in the practical department.
Yeah, I teach in the practical department. I'm associate professor of practical theology. Because of my dual degree in catechesis and youth ministry and Islam mission and evangelism, so I teach courses in education. Most of the education courses that are taught here at the seminary and also online, SMP. Mm-hmm. I teach them, teaching the faith. And then also I teach courses in Islam for the PhD students and also for the DMin program. And also I teach it here at our residential classes. Mm-hmm. And also I teach mission and evangelism. And that's all.
So you've been here 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, in some ways it feels like you've been here longer.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled that you're on our faculty, and you bring a really unique perspective, and you bring some expertise, especially in these areas that you mentioned. And I'm particularly interested, especially in your expertise in Islam, because that is something that not very many Missouri Synod Lutherans can say that they're an expert in, or that they have, frankly, any experience even in. But you have some experience in that area.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn. The subject of Islam, I always give an analogy that it's like an ocean. The more you deepen it, the more you study it. And for the last 18 years that I am involved, not only academically studying Islam with a PhD in Arabic and in Islamic studies, mission and evangelism focuses of Islam, but also ministry to Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we started to minister to Muslim in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Because before taking the call at the seminary, I was senior lecturer of Arabic language and culture at Baylor University. That was my full-time job. And then also I worked since 2005 with Texas District in DFW area, Dallas-Fort Worth area, to reach out to Arab Christian and Muslim at the same time. And the Lord blessed us. The ministry was thriving, and it continued until I took my call here at the seminary. I was not able to find an Arabic-speaking Lutheran pastor to take over the church.
Mm-hmm. So we need more of those.
Yeah,
Certainly.
and that's part of my engagement with our church body is part of my future plan. If you tell me what do you want to do when you grow up, so I tell you, maybe create a curriculum all in Arabic, maybe a summary, maybe an EIT or SMP Arabic edition to train more Arabic speaking, especially men who wants to join the ministry. Because honestly, in the Arab world, not many people know about Lutheran Church Missouri Synod.
Right.
They don't know that there is a conservative part close to the Eastern liturgical tradition called Missouri Synod. They hear about Lutheranism, the liberal part of Lutherans,
Sure.
because of they are close to the European body, Swedish, Scandinavian body, who they ordain women, they gay and lesbian, all this issue, and they don't know that there is many conservative part, and we are one of the largest conservative Lutheran church body. And I did not know. I did not know anything about it until I was introduced to this church body unofficially, and then I found myself being a pastor in this church body.
I love it. Well, let's dive right into your story. So start way back. Tell us, you have a really interesting journey to the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. So tell us where your journey begins, where you're born, and the family background, and tell us each step along the way.
Yeah. Well, again, as you mentioned in your introduction, I was not born as a German white Lutheran or in the Midwest somewhere. I was born in Syria, in a small town called Al-Malikiya at the border between Iraq and Turkey. The town is like 10 miles from Turkey, the Turkish border, and like 15 miles from the Iraqi border, the corner. And I was born, many ask me, were you born Muslim? No, I was not Muslim. I was Christian all my life, but with a different church body, the Syrian Orthodox Church, which is part of what is called in the World Council of Churches the Oriental Orthodox Church, who are the Coptic, the Armenian Orthodox, the Indian, the Ethiopian Orthodox churches. Those were historically well known as the non-Chalcedonian Orthodox churches.
Right.
So in difference to what's referred to as Eastern Orthodoxy, right?
Yeah, here in America, Eastern Orthodox are the Chalcedonian, the Greek, the Russian. These are the even the Antiochian Church, which is Eastern Orthodox Church, are the Syrian immigrant, but they are under that category of Eastern Orthodox churches. So that's in that church body. I was born and grew up in that small town.
What language did you grow up speaking?
Arabic.
Yeah.
Arabic, and it's kind of Anatolian Arabic. But then at very young age, at the age of 14, I enrolled in this monastic order, or in the seminary of the Syrian Orthodox Church in Damascus. So at young age, I had to leave my family. And
is that pretty typical for novitiates?
It was at that time. They were allowing young students to come, but then I think 10 years later they changed the rule that you have to have high school, after high school, or after college, like here.
Did they change the rule right after you came in? They said, well, given this Abjar guy, we're going to have to change the rules.
No, I don't remember when they changed the rule, but they changed it later on, like 10 years after that. But at that time, we were like 30 teenagers. Wow. In that, it's like it was. They call it seminary, they call it monastery, but it's like a boarding school.
Sure.
It was like a boarding school. So you would study all the government curriculum. They would bring us private teacher. Yet at the same time, we were introduced to the church life, the liturgy, chanting, the liturgy, memorizing, doing some Bible class, etc. Until you get your high school. That's basically, we were living in a boarding, and then after high school you continue your theological education for 2 years with the BA in theology. And that's how I spent my teenage year in Damascus. I always said I grew up cross street from the Church of Ananias, where Paul was baptized. So that's how old I am, or how ancient I am. That's
what was the typical dress for students in the monastery?
Normal dress. No, we were.
There's no uniform.
No, not uniform. No. Only on Sundays you would wear a black habit, just like the priests.
Yeah.
But it was not required to do it every day. So I that's how I spent my teenage year in that area from 7th grade, all the way to 2 years after high school. Then after that, I was ordained as a deacon, and then I was also ordained as a monk in that church body. Right after my ordination, a year later, I was sent to Rome to finish my or to do further study. And this is also, this was a program, it's still in, that was created after the Second Vatican Council, which is opening up to non-Catholic churches, especially the Orthodox, the different Orthodox bodies,
Sure.
Eastern and non-Eastern. So they would give scholarship to the Orthodox churches for students, especially clergy like us, to go and live with a Catholic religious order and study at one of the pontifical university or institute there to learn more and collaborate with. So that was the institute, or the committee was called the Pontifical Committee of Cultural Collaboration Among Christian, and I don't know, it's like two line, but that's basically, that committee was created after the Second Vatican, and through that committee, or through that program, I was sent by the Patriarchate in Damascus to study there for like a full scholarship from the Vatican. So I lived with the religious order, the Salesian order, which is second largest Catholic religious order. They are around 19,000 monks and nuns working around the world. They have a monastic community there, and they have also a university. So I lived on campus with the community, and I studied there for almost 6 years, over 6 years. I studied there, and I began a BA in education, and then master's in education, focuses of youth ministry and catechesis, and then doctorate also in youth ministry and catechesis.
What was that like to move from Syria to Rome, Italy? So there's a pretty big difference there.
It is, yeah, it's big differences, and it was, it was cultural shock, but at the same time, it enriched my experience, when you live in Damascus, and when you live in a closed community. But then when we moved to Rome, just to give you an example, at the Salesian University where I studied, we had students, because it's the Vatican, it's the hub of Catholic.
Right.
Only at the Salesian University, we had students, we were from 80 different countries studying there.
Wow.
Most of them clergy, and doing their master's, doctorate, or doing from all over. So you interact with these people and listen to them, listen to their experience, and of course interacting with the Vatican also, because part of that program is to go and meet with the Vatican. They even arranged once a year in January for us to go and have audience with the Pope. So I met with John Paul II, just to show, that we were like around 30, I think, or 40 students from different Orthodox body studying in this program. And part of it, me and other three monks and priests from the Syrian Orthodox Church were studying in various pontifical institutes and universities. So that was a rich experience, for me. I learned a lot.
Did you talk with John Paul II, or how many people were in this audience? Was it pretty?
Usually, they arranged, the committee arranged this meeting in January, end of January, because the last week of January is a prayer for a Christian unity. So no, you don't go and chat with John Paul II. You sit there, and then they introduce each one of you that this is come from this and this and come from that, and go and take a picture with him. And and that's it. You don't.
The first time that I went to Rome, we got tickets to an audience with the Pope in St. Peter's, and so there are thousands and thousands of people. We happened to score tickets to the. I don't remember exactly how we got them, but we were sitting in the second row back, and there are literally thousands of people in St. Peter's Square, and the guy in front of me took a phone call on his cell phone in the middle of the Pope's speech. And I thought, man, who has the nerve to take a cell phone call? That must be a really important phone call in the middle of John Paul II's speech. He's just gabbing away on the phone. And I thought, wow.
A lot of security going on.
A lot of security. I thought they were gonna take him out, but so to have an audience where it's just a few of you, you're not chatting it up with JP too,
no.
but to get introduced to him, I mean, he's even if we have significant confessional differences between us and the Roman Catholic Church, he's still a world leader and on a human level, just a really important office, right? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was it was a rich experience. Spent over 6 years there, and of course it was not easy also to study the language. I had to go through intensive courses, 6 months of intensive courses in Italian, and then start a graduate courses. It was not easy.
Classes were taught in Italian?
In Italian, yeah.
Wow.
Even though in Rome, like classes were taught in Italian, but like writing your thesis and doing your exam, you were allowed to do like in Spanish if you come from Latin America. We had or English, because most of our professors they knew
but not
Spanish
Arabic,
and
probably.
Not Arabic, yeah. So I had to do it in Italian, and at the same time every summer I would spend the summer in an English-speaking country in Europe. That was part of the program also, but yet at the same time they send you to also the Catholic order. So we, like in Ireland, they had connection with Ireland, Southern Ireland, and I was there also for over 5 months with another religious order, Catholic religious order, also studying intensive English, 5 hours a day, speaking, reading, writing, and also living with that monastic order. And so, that was a rich experience for me. And I finished my BA, Master's, and Doctorate in education, focuses of catechesis and youth ministry. And I worked over 5 years to develop like a kind of project hypothesis or foundation of a project of Christian education for the youth in the Middle East, the Christian youth in the Middle East. And so that's how I was introduced also to the subject of Muslim-Christian relation, reaching out to Muslim, because, in Syria, at that time it was like around 10%, the Christian population in Syria. Right now it's like 4%.
Wow.
And then I went back to Damascus after I graduated. And at that time, I never thought coming to America. I never even imagined coming to United States. Because of the many immigrants, Syrian from all over the Middle East, they had to open an archdiocese in the West Coast in California. So they ordained the bishop and they put him in, that was like a couple years before I graduated. And so they needed clergy, mainly single. They cannot, these small community immigrants, they could not afford married priests. So I was sent also to California through that program, but the patriarch sent me to work as helping or bishop assistant in the West Coast.
So at this time, you're still part of Syrian Orthodoxy.
Yeah. 19.
And for our listeners or viewers that may not know, they probably almost certainly know that the Roman Catholic Church does not allow priests to marry, but in Orthodoxy, priests can marry, right?
Yeah, but you have to choose before the ordination.
Okay.
You got ordained, that is, you toasted.
Choose very wisely.
And that's what happened to me. After the ordination, you change your mind, that's it, you are out of the system. So you have to decide before the ordination.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so, where were we?
So you were coming to, so the Syrian Orthodox Church started a diocese on the West Coast in California, and they needed single monastics to come and help start that diocese.
The bishop was there, but the community, California, the West Coast is huge.
Yeah.
So September 99, I landed in LAX in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And here I started my journey in United States. So I began to work with the bishop, helping different communities, several communities in California. I would sometimes travel to Arizona, also Texas, sometimes, and also working with the youth, the Syrian youth immigrants.
This was just so you came over to the United States just 2 years before 9/11, September 11th, 2001, and I want to ask. This is if you'd rather not talk about it, that's okay. But what was it like to be in America as an Arabic speaker from the Middle East during that time? So you didn't fit Americans' kind of typical view of, Arabic speaker must be a Muslim, but clearly your ethnicity is somebody from the Middle East. You're an Arabic speaker. What was that experience like?
It was challenging, actually. When September 11 happened, I was not in United States. I did not have even my American citizen yet.
Okay.
I was visiting my family in Sweden. My whole family is in Sweden.
Sure.
So I was visiting, and then September 11 happened. And I got stuck there for a while. But yes, here, interacting with people, I did not have any problem. But applying for American citizen, it was a challenging. It took me like over 5 years waiting for my American citizen, or 3 to 4 years. After I finished, I got my green card and I got passed the citizen test. The immigration told me, the FBI put a hold on your name because I was from Syria and I traveled. I left the United States. I went like 3-4 times to see, because I had to go to Syria back and forth to the Patriarchate.
Sure.
And that was after September 11. It took me. They put a hold on my name, and then I had to wait 3 more years, and then my fingerprint expired when they cleared my name. I had to go and retake my fingerprint, etc. But
we've had the United States has had bans on immigration from Syria from time to time over the last 20-some years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is not, strong diplomatic relation with
right. So sorry. That was just fascinating topic, and I'm really glad that you're here.
Right.
But so keep going. So you come to California. you're hanging out as a Syrian Orthodox
single. After that, I worked for over 3 years with the Diocese of Western United States, and then in 2000, when was that? 2004. Again, because of I was in Europe, and then America was a totally different experience also for me, and it opened me to a different horizon, theologically, spiritually, and also culturally. So in 2004, I left the church. 2003, I think, spring of 2003, I left the church and I took a regular job working in California. And then at that time, a friend of mine encouraged me to start another graduate study in Islam. And he said, you come from that area, you have the language access, and now the need for American college is high for scholars and teachers. I wanted to teach at university level. So I said, okay, and we began this process. I applied to different school in Texas. A professor at SMU, Southern Methodist University in Dallas, wanted to help me. So I ended up then not doing that program, being enrolled at Texas Christian University with some discount. And I did 2 semesters there, and then I was introduced to the head of the Department of Islamic Studies at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. It's the largest Baptist seminary, and they have a whole department of Islamic Studies under the Department of World Mission. So it's they have.
Now, prior to your academic study of Islam, did you have much interaction with Islam back in Syria growing up or going through school?
Of course, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, this was normal, and I talk about it in my book. The normal interaction with Muslim was on a daily basis, You are a minority.
Sure.
So interaction with Muslim was on a daily basis. But no, when I was there, and even until 2004, I did not have that academic studies of Islam, and
so more of just an interpersonal relationship with the culture, but not a true understanding of why and how they do what they do.
Exactly. Yeah. I was not interested, but then in 2004, when I began to study, when I was encouraged and to do, take this adventure of Islamic studies, I began to be interested in this subject. So at that time, I moved to Texas, and through Shahid, who just passed away a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Shahid, he was able to get me full scholarship. See, I was blessed to study all this for free.
Sure.
Here, if you do all this study, you end up with $200,000 student loan, and I did it all for free. Yeah. So he was able to get me full presidential scholarship at the seminary, and also helping as teaching assistant, helping Arabic program, mentoring students in Arabic, and teaching some elective about Eastern Christianity, etc. So I moved to Southwestern. I finished another master's in mission and evangelism, focuses of Islam, and then at that time in 2005, I was introduced to the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod through missionaries, or to the mission endeavor of Texas district.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they wanted somebody who knows Arabic to serve the need of the community. Because remember, after 2003, American entered Iraq,
Right.
and after 2003, Iraq went to a civil war.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So in Dallas-Fort Worth area, thousands of, just like now, Afghani,
Sure.
thousands of Iraqi immigrants moved to Dallas-Fort Worth. Our synod, Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, did not have any Arabic-speaking guy to help, and so they asked me, they said, can you help? I said, okay, I will help, no problem. So that's how I was introduced unofficially to the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. In 2005, and I began to translate, material, Lutheran material that they gave me to maybe do kind of Bible study, interact with, and that's how we began. In 2008, we began with the baptism of the first Iraqi Muslim who came to the United States, and they wanted the community to introduce them to the Christian church, and that's how I began to, disciple this family, Hazem, Sarah, and 4 kids. And that's how we began to, I was introduced to the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, translating, and I ended up translating also several adult catechism. And right at that time, I met my wife, and in 2005 and 6, and I got married, and of course, after, as just I said at the beginning, after you get married, that's it, you are out of the system. I was already out of the system for few years.
Sure.
And being introduced to a bunch of Lutheran and Baptist, so they ruined my, they changed my, they changed my my mind. And studying the Reformation, for studying the life of Martin Luther, I saw his transformation is very similar to the transformation I went through. I was encouraged, even though it was not easy, because, for the community, for the family, they wanted me to stay in the system and maybe continue to become bishop or something. And, and here now I left the church and I joined the Protestant church, and so that was not easy on a social level. And so 2005 I began to work unofficially until we continued to work, and then we gathered people started to know about us, and in 2000 it ended up almost 7 years working non-officially with our churches. In 2012 I was officially colloquialized here at our international center. Dr. Delmeyer was sitting in my colloquy, so if anything happened, blame him, don't you? We planted that same year. After we gathered, and we planted the first Arabic-speaking Lutheran congregation in the state of Texas. Of course, at that time, I worked with Southwestern. After my graduation, I finished another PhD. During all this period, while working with the Synod and getting married and settling, I was working on a second PhD in Arabic and Islamic Studies. And I finished a second PhD in Arabic and Islamic Studies with the Pontifical Institute of Arabic and Islamic Studies in Rome, because of my previous study with the pontifical system. So I just had to do research paper and mentor to guide me through Baptist, so it was an easy project, not like here you have to go through 2 years of research seminars and
the European research degree
and
is
you were in Europe, no? You got your doctorate,
and
so in 2012 I was colloquialized as a Lutheran pastor. Of course, at that time also I taught a little bit at Southwestern, and then I moved to Baylor University, teaching temporary lecturer, and then a regular lecturer and senior lecturer in Arabic and Islamic studies until I took a call here in 2017 or 2018.
Baylor's a pretty great school. They have great D1 sports, but they also have really a rigorous academic approach, and yet they're distinctly Christian. I don't know what their denominational background is.
It's a Baptist university.
Baptist.
It's a Baptist university, but they have the system of any other department. You have to be Christian, but they have the Department of Religion and the seminary. You have to be a Baptist.
Larry Hurtado, back in the day from University of Edinburgh, was coming to Baylor. Alan Jacobs, the English professor, I know of a lot of his writings. He's at Baylor. So I have another friend, David Wilhite, that's at Baylor. There's a lot of really, church fathers and pretty significant. So it was a good thing to be part of that academic community. You enjoyed that?
Yeah, it was really a rich experience, and the student body. But at the same, I did not have any problem with them. I taught 10 years. It was a joyful experience. I learned a lot and I taught a lot, but at the same time, I did not feel it's my call to continue just to teach Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that's why when I took this call, I said, this is a call. Baylor was a job.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, otherwise, I was okay there.
Well, just a few moments ago, you mentioned your book, Shining the Gospel Light on the Quran. Mm-hmm. And one of my first courses in the graduate school was Introduction to Islam. And it's one of these things where, I didn't know much about Islam, just kind of what everybody assumes about Islam and very limited knowledge about it. But then you had us read your book, and we got assigned a few other books. You also had us read sections of the Quran so we could compare what you were writing to the text of the Quran, and we could see, or at least I was going to say see how all this developed, at least begin to get an understanding of how the religion came to be, its development, how it's changed, and how all of these important aspects, if we're going to think about it from a Christian perspective, to the point where a friend of ours was going over to Lebanon to teach women there how to make jewelry, because she makes jewelry here as a non-for-profit, and she was looking for resources, and I encouraged her to use your book, to read your book, and she did. And what I'm getting at is if you could just briefly tell people about it, because it is. You said you've been learning for 18 years, and as you said that, I was like, I imagine, because it's not a simple religion by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't want to be pejorative, but I imagine that most Muslims don't fully understand Islam because of how much study would take to understand the breadth of it. So could you just maybe give quick highlights of your book, what it is, its purpose, and then just kind of that overview.
This is a book that I worked on over 10 years, teaching even here at the seminary. Before taking my full-time call, I was coming every summer to teach 2 weeks intensive course. Mm-hmm. And also taught at different churches as an adult Bible class about Islam, and also teaching it in Africa. I was also there in Kenya teaching it. So I put together this, it's like a basic introduction to Islam, what is Islam, and especially introducing it to it's written from a conservative missionary perspective. Mm-hmm. So what is Islam? Introducing it to the lay people, because there are a lot of confusion.
Right.
People watching Fox News, they say something about Islam. People watching CNN and other. So in the first part, I introduce what is Islam, what kind of Islam, what's the challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And then I move to a theological challenges. What are the theological challenges between Islam and Christianity? So I did the main focus on the subject of the story of Jesus, Christology, which I teach it now as a elective, because the Quran talks about Jesus more than Muhammad. There are 93 verses about the story of Jesus and God, who is God, and what's the radical differences. And then the last part, I teach or I give some practical suggestion of how do we engage with Muslim, how do we reach out to Muslim. So the whole perspective is of this book is studying the primary sources of Islam, seeing what the Quran and then engaging critically with these texts, and then giving Christian or our Christian on the academic level and also on the lay level some practical idea how to explain the reason of your hope, how to explain the Christian faith, like how to tell the story of Jesus, to Muslim. So this is it's just an introduction. I always say that, just like at the beginning, it's like an ocean. So
right. It's one of those things. When I was studying abroad at Westfield House, my barber in Cambridge was Muslim, and it was convenient because it was £10 for a haircut, so it didn't break the bank, and I could go and get a haircut frequently. And you go to the same barber over and over, then you begin a little chit chat, and then he asked me about who I was, and then I remember waiting one day, and they had pamphlets about Islam, and I picked it up, and as he was finishing up, and he was like, "Oh, right, you're a Christian." He starts explaining to me about who Jesus is, and it didn't ruin our barber-patron relationship. I was like, that's who you say Jesus is, but this is who I believe Jesus to be, and this is what the Bible actually says about who Jesus is, and this is where, according to what I'm reading and what you said, the Quran has confused what the Bible has said, Holy Scripture has said, and to the Quran, and he paused, and there was some contemplating. Again, it didn't ruin our relationship, but it did create a little less chit chat as I was getting my haircut. But I remember he was just on a human level. He was a nice guy. It wasn't like it wasn't like he was rude after that. It's like, oh no, now that you say this, you can't get your haircut or anything else like that. It was far more casual, it was much less personal. But I remember when I was taking your class, you think about the people you have relationships with. It's not that we were great friends, but I did have a relationship with this guy for 10 months. And I remember thinking, I wish I'd had some of this book with me when I was getting my haircut, because I'd have known how not to offend him with my Christianity, so that hopefully we could continue to have a conversation of what I believe. But I don't know exactly what I said, but I'm sure what I said, mostly like the Quran is wrong, is probably what I said. That highly offended him. If you tell anybody that what they believe and what they've believed their entire life, right or wrong, is wrong, and you start there, well, you're going to offend them and you're going to turn off the conversation. So I wish I'd have had some of your advice then, because maybe we could have kept at least having dialogue. It would have been good.
And that's the whole subject, the book I write it. Peter tell us to be ready to explain the reason of your hope, but you do it with gentleness and respect.
Right.
So what I try to educate my reader about, knowing the story, the other story, without, just like you said, going and saying Muhammad was a bad guy and the Quran is a bad, I don't believe. No, we need to know what's the story.
Right.
But also engaging critically with it. And knowing our own story also, the reason of our hope. Because the Islam shares many ideas, stories with the Bible.
Right.
And also, Islam is a religion motivated by missionary zeal, just like Christianity. Ad-da'wah. So God calls the community, calls everybody. He will judge you based on who did you call to Islam. And it's the same time also in Christianity. Jesus' great commandment was go and disciples of all nations.
Tell us a little bit about your family. So you're a family man now. You're not the single Syrian Orthodox monk that you were. You're married. You have a family. We even have one of your sons on our set.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So tell us about your family.
Yeah, my wife is from Texas, so we are a combination of a Syrian and Texan. So we have our stepdaughter is in Nashville, Sarah. She is 28 years old. And then we have Anna Kate. She's 16. She studies now at Lutheran South. And they have Kifa Michael, who is also my son. He is 12 years old. So my wife now, she teaches at Lutheran South. She is in charge of the theater program and teaches sign languages. Nice. And my daughter is there, and Kifa here is 12 years old. He's in 6th grade at Christ Community Lutheran School.
Sure.
Awesome.
So this is who we are. It's a combination. I always said, don't combine Syrian and Texan.
What does dinner look like at your house? Do you cook? And
I cook, yeah.
Do you cook Syrian dishes or Texan dishes or just a little bit of everything?
I learned, based on the need. My kids, they like burger and chicken nuggets, so I learned now how to cook burger and chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Sure.
But the burger, I make them with the kebab seasoning.
There we go.
So it's like a kebab. So he loves it.
Yeah.
So most of the time I cook because the girls, they do rehearsal, and rehearsal are always at night. So I pick up Kifa, and then we go shop, and I cook, and then the girls come around sometimes 9, 10, especially if they have tech week.
Nice.
Sometimes at 11 they come, and when my wife is at home, she cook Texan. Texan, they like steak, and I mean, Texan at least 3 times if they don't eat burger and steak, they die.
Or something like that.
My wife and I are both from Indiana, so we don't have a lot of culinary diversity in our. Well, we actually do. We love eating all kinds of different foods, but growing up in Indiana, there was not a lot of culinary diversity.
No, in Syria, like the chicken and rice, and I make burger and rice and chicken, and they like it also because I make it. I learned their taste, and
so yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, this has been super interesting, just to hear your story, and to know that the same baptism, the same grace, the same Holy Spirit, the same faith is given at your baptism as an infant, or as an infant, right?
Of course, the Orthodox Church Day.
And on the other side of the world, and a completely different language, and yet you found a home here in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. I think that says great things about the future of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, that we are a church body that makes space for and welcomes in a variety of different people. I think we have work to do on that in that area. We are. It's very well known that the Missouri Synod is a predominantly white Anglo-Saxon denomination, but I think we have a lot of great stories of how people from other ethnicities and faith traditions have come and made Lutheranism their own. And, I'm really excited that you're here. And
I feel here at the seminary because I grew up in a monastic community. So when I come here, my office is like a monastic cell. I call it my monastic cell, and so I feel that I am at home. Even though I have been married now 16, 17 years, but I still, deep inside, since you were 14, you were in. So when I come here at the seminary, I feel that, okay, I'm home.
There you go.
I'm in this monastic community.
That's fantastic.
But as you said, especially toward the Arab and Muslim world, we haven't been doing a lot as LCMS. And that's what I want to do, really. If the seminary would give me more time and space to work on more theological education in Arabic, we could do huge. Mm-hmm. We could easily, in the future, between European immigrant and Middle East, start an Arabic-speaking seminary edition of, like some mini edition of Concordia Seminary, but in Arabic.
Yeah, that would be
I can start
amazing.
the project. I cannot do it all together,
Sure.
but it needs time, it needs finance. But just like we were talking about the fig. The fig is ripe in the Arab and the Middle East.
Sure.
Look at our churches in Europe. The largest Lutheran congregation in Berlin, over 1,000 members, all from Muslim background.
Right. Yep.
So why we don't invest and do something about it? There is a conversation now with our international and national office. Both of us are having conversation about it, and hopefully it will come to some fruits.
Yeah, that's really, really exciting.
That's my potential, really.
Sure.
It's not sometimes I teach education, but I feel that my heart is there because I see the potential of us growing there.
Yeah. And you're already doing some, you've been working with a company that
Sat7. That's the largest Arabic Christian channel that... This summer I was there. I was invited there to film. And I filmed 30 segments, 30 short 15 segments, teaching the Nicene Creed based on our Lutheran catechism. Of course, it's all Lutheran teaching.
Yeah.
So, and it's being broadcast now. This channel has over 500 million viewers all over the world.
Wow.
So they invited me. I was in Paris for an international symposium of Arabic and Syriac studies. That's every 4 years they do it. Over 200 scholars attended. Then they told me, I said, okay, Paris, Lebanon is like 4 hours, let me go. So I went there. And 4 days, just 4 days, we filmed 30 segments. That's a lot. See how much it takes to film this 1 hour?
Right.
But of course, I worked here. I worked most of the summer writing it, rehearsing it, because we wanted it short, because it's a teaching segment.
Yeah.
And I did it in July, and they just started to broadcast it.
Okay.
And all in Arabic.
All in Arabic, yeah. So we are now trying to take these 30 segments, put them on a platform, make them as like a course for Arabic speaking to be introduced to our Lutheran teaching. Yeah, that's
phenomenal.
That's a hobby I do, besides my full-time job here at the seminary.
Cool hobby. Well, we're so honored and just excited that you're part of our community, and you bring so much to Concordia Seminary. You have so much to give to our students, and I remember in the early years when you were just a guest lecturer, and then the prospect came about that maybe you come here full time. So it's just really it's great to have you to be your colleague in the practical department. And we should probably do a little ripe for the picking.
Sure.
So I'll throw out a first one because the last time we recorded this came to mind when you talked about NASCAR. I think I have something that's hopefully listeners and viewers will see the connection. But the ripe for the picking or leave it on the tree is professional wrestling, like WWF or WWE. Do you know about this American thing of professional wrestling?
Leave it on the tree. I'm too old for this.
Sure. That's fair.
Yeah. When I was a kid, WWF was a really big thing. And so there was like Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan and all these Brutus the Beefcake Barber. And I loved all of that. And, the professor that really also got into professional wrestling, nobody would ever guess this, but Jim Veltz loves professional wrestling. And he and Bill Weinrich one time went to the Fort Wayne Coliseum and watched a cage match.
Look at that.
I think I was also at that match. They were I think they were up in the nosebleed seats, and I think they were smoking cigars or something. At least that's the story that I've heard. But so it's Leave It on the Tree for you. It's ripe for the picking for me. Although I haven't watched a wrestling match in a really long time, I still get a kick out of it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in forever, but growing up, it was very ripe for the picking. Remember when, because there was, I was going to say when we were kids, or at least when I was a kid.
Yeah.
There was like Monday Nitro and Monday Night Raw both came out at the same time. So I was like a WCW Monday Nitro guy. Okay. And then when the NWO started with like Hulk Hogan and Razor Ramon and all those guys, I was really into that. I mean,
that was post WWF days.
No, it was still WWF.
Oh, was
then.
It WWF?
Yeah,
okay.
Because after a while, I got tired of the whole thing and I switched over to WWF. But anyway, I'll leave it on the tree just because it's been so long, and I would never, I don't think, intentionally watch professional wrestling anymore.
If it was on, if somebody put it on, I'd sit there and watch it, and I'd be mesmerized.
I might.
Take me back to my childhood.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. This is an odd one, but I'm not sure if I've ever asked anybody it, so you get it. Right for the picking or leave it on the tree. Monopoly, the board game.
Monopoly. I mean, I can play it with my kids for a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, I can handle it 30 minutes, more than 30 minutes.
Okay.
Then, yeah. So I will pick it. Yeah,
Got it.
No problem.
All right.
Nice. It's ripe for the picking for me too. Growing up, I loved Monopoly. I'm fiercely competitive in Monopoly, and so I don't play it a lot anymore because I played it one time with my now wife when we were dating, and it almost broke us up.
Oh, sure.
Because she likes to play games, and like it's just the community and it's the experience and having fun. And I thought, well, that's not the point of Monopoly. The point of Monopoly is to crush your opponent.
That is literally the point.
And I did. And that didn't go very well for me. So we don't play a lot of Monopoly in my house, but I have thought that it would be fun to rewrite Monopoly with Bitcoin.
For goodness sakes.
And completely redo it because
So it's right for the picking for me now. So the version of Monopoly we have at our house has debit cards, so it's no longer cash; it's electronic. So I was gonna say that kind of beats you to the punch a little bit, and I like it because it's like in millions, not in hundreds.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you got like a modern Monopoly, Bitcoin would probably be some part of the game or some kind of e-coin. But it's very right for the picking for me. But I'm very much like you. Dorothy's very much like Selena and how she wants to play it, and I'm cutthroat. If somebody does a bad deal in Monopoly, it's like, why would you trade for a utility?
Right.
They are there to trick the dum-dums. I'm sorry if you like the utilities, but anyway.
I love it. All right, so ripe for the picking or leave it on the tree. I'm going to ask something that you probably, I'm assuming that you really know and grew up with, and then paired with something that probably not. So raw broccoli with hummus. You grew up eating hummus, I'm sure, right? This is a very Middle Eastern dish that's on a lot of Middle Eastern tables. But raw broccoli with hummus, is that a thing for you? Or what do you eat? Or what do you eat hummus with?
I like raw broccoli and hummus. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a healthy snack, so I will pick it. Yeah.
All right, nice.
Not leave it. Yeah.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Do you make your own hummus?
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's time consuming, so I would rather get it
Pre-made.
You know,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the same way. My mother loves to make hummus, and she's really good at it. She really has several different recipes. But yeah, we just buy it in the plastic.
And I like
thing,
classic. You know, you
Sabra or
go
whatever.
here, they have like 600 different kind of.
Yeah, you could get
I
all
like
types
classic. That's the
Okay,
Yeah.
classic test. I don't. Here in America, they like just to mix things.
that's very true.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Because
roasted red
it's-
peppers,
Yeah,
olive top
yeah,
and
yeah.
hot, something like that. Yeah.
Right. The roasted garlic is just like woo.
Yeah.
But yeah, we eat a lot of
Yeah.
raw broccoli and hummus at our house.
That's right for the picking for me. I actually prefer raw broccoli over cooked broccoli. I think it tastes better.
Yeah.
Once you cook it, and
Yeah, especially if you overcook it. If you steam it and it's just under raw,
Yeah.
then it's
Yeah.
nice.
I
but-
think post-COVID, the first time I got COVID, I lost my taste and smell for a very long time. And when it finally came back, certain things I know taste different now than they used to. And
Yeah.
broccoli, unfortunately, cooked broccoli is one of them. So I eat it because I have to be a good example to my kids. But usually I am
eat your broccoli.
struggling to eat cooked broccoli with dinner. Anyway, all right. Right for the picking or leave it on the tree. The Amazon deal section. So you go to Amazon.com and it'll be like the little tab that says Today Deals. Do you ever click on that?
No.
Oh, all right.
No.
You should.
Let's leave it on the tree for me too.
Sounds like let's leave it on the tree
When I
for
go
you.
to Amazon,
yeah.
this is just the way that I shop in general.
You still only buy books from Amazon. I know it.
No,
just messing-
100%
just
not.
messing with you.
Come on, man. We buy everything from Amazon.
I buy, yeah.
Yeah.
We had an Amazon order like probably 4 or 5 times a week. The UPS lady thanks us all the
Yeah.
time. We're like keeping her in business.
Yeah, yeah. You know, sometimes you find books. Like the other day, I found a book, $97, but on, used, $25. I immediately bought it.
Yeah.
It's Oxford University Press
They're always
interpretation,
so expensive.
medieval interpretation of the Quran. I said, that's my topic. And
Okay.
so,
Yeah. Has it come yet?
yeah,
And did it have markings in it, or was
it
it?
has, yeah, it's used. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I don't care. I have the
Sure.
book,
Yeah, that's
I
perfect.
use it for my research.
Right. It's leave it on the tree for me. When I go to Amazon, it's not just books, it's all kinds of stuff. But I've never gotten into letting them tell me what I need, because I have bought a few things from Amazon that
Sure.
are just absolute junk.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can, even if sometimes you can look for something you want and you compare prices, you find a deal, and what you've purchased is
Yeah.
like the picture was clearly blown up. Anyway,
Yeah.
quick aside, anytime a professor assigns a book from Oxford Press, I know it's going to be quality reading, but man, I always groan at the price. I've never paid
Yeah.
less than $90 for an Oxford
Yeah,
Press
it
book.
just is very expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's right for the picking for me. I rarely buy anything from it, but like I like, not that they are telling me what I need, but I like scrolling through random things, and you never know. Like you'll see something, and sometimes it's not because I buy the thing that they suggested, but it causes me to look for something similar or along those lines, and you actually find something that you want. So
Yeah.
I like, and it could be an ADHD thing. I'm not gonna lie, but I like the
Do you
randomness
also,
of it.
like, when you go into a department store, do you like to just stroll?
Oh, I think I've done this on an episode, that random aisle at Aldi.
Oh yeah.
I also, for the same reason, like 99% of that stuff is junk. Dorothy absolutely loves that aisle, and she'll like be at Aldi and she'll send me text messages and say, "Should I buy this?" And I just don't respond because I assume if I don't respond, she won't buy it, and that doesn't always work. But that's usually the best thing. Or if
I thought you were going to say that you don't respond because you don't want to get yourself in trouble, which I was going to say that's why.
Well, it's kind of like a both and,
Yeah,
right?
right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. But every once in a while, you just got to put your foot down because it's like, in what world do we need that? No, don't buy that. But I do like those random aisles. It's just nice.
All right, last one for me. Ripe for the picking or leave it on the tree. Butterfinger candy bars.
Butterfinger candy bars. I mean, yeah, I can have one or two, but
Yeah.
and it's a temptation, you
Yeah.
leave it in. I have my 12 years old, I mean, if I buy a pound, it's gone
Sure.
in 2 hours. So maybe a treat once in a month, or Easter or Christmas, but not every day.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
so if your son got those in his Halloween bag, he would eat them all. You wouldn't get any.
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. It's ripe for the picking for me too, or at least it used to be. There's so much dairy in a Butterfinger candy bar and in anything that tastes good. But when I was a kid, Butterfinger candy bar, that was the go-to, my absolute favorite chocolate bar. But I probably haven't had a Butterfinger in 10 years.
No, I did not grow up with Butterfinger, chicken nuggets. I learned all this in the United States.
Horrible
Yeah, we were
culinary
having
culture.
rice and all cooking at home, and
right.
no, all this.
No Butterfingers in Syria.
That Bart Simpson marketing.
Right?
Won you
That's
over.
exactly.
Those
Oh, I
commercials
love-
were great, though.
I was 12 years old when Bart Simpson came out, right? Or maybe even younger.
I don't know.
Bart Simpson, I don't know. He got really big in 1989. So I remember when Bart was all the rage. And
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're right. I like Butterfingers. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
But I like, it's funny. So, like, Dorothy knows this about me. If I say get some candy and she brings home chocolate, I'm disappointed because chocolate's not candy. I just not. Anyway, I think we've had that conversation on the show as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, last one. And it's, I don't know. It's another food one. But right for the picking or leave it on the tree. Brown sugar Pop-Tarts. Do you know what
Brown sugar
Yeah.
and what?
Pop-Tarts.
A Pop-Tart, the little toaster things, the toaster strudels. They're not really strudels, but they're not strudels at all.
Okay.
No?
I can handle that, yeah.
Sure.
I can, but again, not every day.
Sure.
So I will pick it, yeah,
All right.
no problem.
So I have to ask a clarifying question.
Okay.
Frosted or unfrosted?
Why would you ever buy an unfrosted Pop-Tart?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Oh,
So
eh.
for me, brown sugar Pop-Tarts also the absolute best Pop-Tart out there.
It's not even close.
It's not even close. It is the best Pop-Tart out there. I loved them as a kid. And I actually gravitated toward the unfrosted brown sugar Pop-Tart because, and this makes my body hurt just saying this, but I would slather that thing after it came out of the toaster with so much butter that the crust would be like mush, would be so soft, and the bottom crust was still nicely crispy, but the top was just like sunk in butter. Oh, it was an amazing treat.
I'm not gonna dish you because I know it tasted incredible.
Yeah.
But you are the first person I've ever heard say I put butter on a Pop-Tart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess if you're gonna do
Unfrosted
that,
Pop-Tarts, putting butter on the top. And that's for any unfrosted Pop-Tart. You smother that thing with butter on the top. Ooh. That salty.
This might trigger some people. I don't toast my Pop-Tarts.
So it's been great to be with you on under the fig tree. We're gonna have to end now because my mind is going to explode. Don't.
No.
My kids don't do that either, and I'm like, it is. Like untoasted Pop-Tarts.
It's nice that way.
For me, is just one of the foulest things.
And if I ever would toast it, it would definitely be like on the lowest setting, and I wouldn't wait for it to run a cycle. Like I might toast it for like 20 seconds max. That's probably too long. Yeah, it's not.
I think even in a zombie apocalypse, if all there was to eat was Pop-Tarts,
You'd roast them over
and there
a fire?
was no fire, I would just starve.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Untoasted Pop-Tarts.
Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
They're good, man. And frosted.
I'm not opinionated at all. This is why we love the ripe for the picking or leave it on the tree. This is always fun. And Micah and I always have differences of opinion.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
It's rare.
Yeah,
Different worlds.
exactly, yeah.
Indiana. What else is there to say?
What can I say? Well, it has been great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
We always close our podcast with asking for one piece of advice that you would give to a prospective student who is thinking, maybe I would come to the seminary. Maybe somebody that's listening or watching said, I really like this episode, and I'd love to study Islam with Professor Bahkou and learn how to do evangelism to Muslims, or I'm just fascinated by your story. If somebody said, I'm thinking about coming to seminary, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them?
It is it's a call. The Holy Spirit calls, and but at the same time it is challenging, but it's the most rewarding and the most important call in your life. No matter what you do as a secular job, but this is the most important call in your life, to be involved in ministry and shepherd God's people.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So think about it, pray about it, but it's a challenging, but it's a rewarding at the same time.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Pretty well said.
Well, Dr. Bahkou, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and great to hear more about your story. There's some things that you said that, off camera, walking by, I'll probably stop and say, hey, what do you think about this? But it's been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for all of your wisdom and all of your all that you do for the seminary to bring that different perspective that I don't know. Well, when I was a student, there wasn't an expert on Islamic studies, and so that one course, I'm definitely not an expert, but certainly enriching and brings to light the importance of having these conversations, because like you said, it's right for the picking. You got a lot of people who are looking for hope, and just don't know where to find it, and we can be that light for them. So if you're listening and you yourself are thinking about being a student, or it could be something for you, make sure you click the link below, fill out the RFI so we know who you are and how to contact you. And if you know somebody and you're thinking, man, one day they might be a good pastor, deaconess, teacher, DCE, don't think too long. Make sure you tell them, because you could be the one that encourages them to take that next step, to begin to pursue this ministry and this life that is very incredible, challenging, but the most important calling that they'll have. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe, and we will see you next time under the fig tree.